Do you ever miss your old life?
Not at all, actually, ironically. But if you'd asked me that like 10 or 12 years ago, I might have said something different. But now, no. In fact, I quite often say to Mary that our life is beautiful. It's like we get to do what we're passionate about every single day of our life. And so no day, we work very hard, but it doesn't feel like work, like it doesn't. And we do a lot of work environmentally. We're running 2 companies or assisting in the running of 2 companies. We're involved with people's lives, a lot, and we do seminars and we do presentations. We travel around the world doing that. We create all this material. We do, on the average, this year's a bit different, but in the normal year, we record anywhere from 150 to 400 hours of material every year that we produce. And as you know, the work behind the scenes doing that far exceeds the work in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And we all that, and it all just feels to us like this is idyllic.
Yeah.
Idyllic life. And on top of that, amazingly, even though people don't really accept necessarily or believe who we are,
and they're often challenged and confronted,
because they love what we're doing, they still donate to us enough money so that we can live and also get the technology and pay the expenses to do it. Yeah. Like, how amazing is that? And before, when I was working as a computer systems programmer and analyst and systems engineer, I worked like a good 100 hours a week every week. Worked like solid time. It was very lonely being a systems engineer, as you can imagine, because you got to do a lot of things outside of hours. And I didn't really enjoy it that much. And while I was earning 2 or 3 times of what we currently receive in donations, none of it I really enjoyed, and I had a very lonely life and a very uninteresting one. I'd never travelled up until I started this in my entire life, overseas and stuff. And so it's just to me, it's such it's a beautiful life, and it gets more beautiful the more Mary and I deal with emotions that we're still working on in order to get rid of fears that we have and other issues that we have, and even stuff that we still have between each other. And the more that happens, the more beautiful it gets. It's just so, I feel really blessed in a lot of ways now. But if you had told me that I would feel blessed in 15 years' time, 15 years ago, I would have told you you're an idiot. Do you know what I mean?
Fair enough.
Considering what I felt at the time I would have to go through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems to me that in many ways this isn't the story that a lot of people expect. In many ways, what you guys hear seems to be the product of a relationship. That, you found one another. And it seemed to me that you've both gone through these really difficult journeys that were potentially impossible if you didn't have someone else there. I'm not sure.
I might say that for myself. I feel you've made some really big headway on the journey long before you met me, and that has helped both of us immensely because I've had a lot of fear about everything and feeling afraid of emotion and kind of there's a time lag between you going through this feeling of like, I miss my old life, how's this ever going to work out? You kind of got through some of that, and now I started it, and you're kind of an ally. And as the years go past, I see more and more the truth that, my life is way better than it used to be, and I'm way happier even when it's tough. So I feel like, I often say that to you, darling, don't I? Like, without your love and without your patience and without your willingness to go, you're allowed to do whatever you want. I'm not going to put emotional demands on you. You have to sort it out, and I'm not going to make you feel guilty, or I'm not going to manipulate you in any way. That's helped me so much, and I don't know what kind of progress I would have made if it was just me on my own in terms of getting real emotionally, getting real about, what I really wanted. Because when we first met, what I wanted was, to travel and have a career and sort of be in control of everything. And
to never have anybody dislike you.
Never have anyone dislike me. And I harbored all these kind of deep-seated feelings about like a longing for God and a fascination with God, and that was never expressed. And huge areas of my whole nature was not expressed because I was so afraid of displeasing other people. And without you already kind of embracing some of our nature before I met you, because I found that so appealing. You know, I found it so appealing that this guy who I pretty much am so challenged by, and sometimes I really want to hate him because I'm so scared, and because I would like to have some of what he's offering, but not this whole package, you know, not this whole identity thing. And I don't really want to face if that's true about myself or not, you know. Without you sort of embracing our nature and our love for God and this passion and just being driven in that, I don't know where I'd be. Like, that helped me so much to embrace my own self a lot more, because I wasn't the only one in the world who had those. I felt like before then
you're alone.
I was alone.
Yeah.
And I never expressed it. And then I met someone who was expressing it. And I was like, whoa, you know, that's so appealing and attractive. And it's in a lot of ways given me so much courage to be myself more.
For me, it's probably a bit different, Julian, because a lot of my voyage has been alone. So, and when I say alone, I went through a period where I did feel completely alone. And after I reconnected with my relationship with God, because there was a period of time where I felt quite sort of anti my relationship with God, I suppose, in the sense that I felt it had brought me trouble and in my life. So, and once I got through those emotions and I reconnected again with my relationship with God, after that I didn't feel alone anymore. And so even though I was alone, I didn't feel alone. Does that make sense? Like physically alone, but I don't feel alone anymore. So nowadays, even when Mary has sometimes a feeling like, oh, I've had enough of this, it's all too hard, and look what they're doing to us, and look what they're doing to us, and feeling like challenged by what people are trying to do.
Or challenged by the intensity of my own emotion.
Yeah,
really,
either one of those things. I sort of feel like, well, darling, you're allowed to do what you want to do. And if you don't want to have this life, because like, see, for me, it's like, I love Mary, I love God. To me, it's just simple. I want Mary, I want God, and I'll do whatever needs to be done to have those things. Yeah. But for Mary, it's because of some of the emotions she carries from her family, her feelings are, yes, I want God and I want him, but I also want to feel safe.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm okay feeling completely unsafe. When I say I'm okay, I'm still scared sometimes, but to me, it's not as important as my relationship with Mary and my relationship with God. Whereas for Mary, sometimes the fear is more important than the relationships.
And that's why I feel like we have like an incredible relationship in comparison to the relationships I've had in the past. Like, we're honest, we know each other really well, but we're not always in this state of blissful togetherness, really. Because, you know, to be in a real state of togetherness, you have to have a kind of resonance of emotions. Don't you?
And you have to learn, I feel, to not project at the other person your fears.
Yes.
You know, your fears are your fears. Your grief is your grief. Your shame is your shame. And as soon as you try to get the other person to go along with it, now you're starting to be manipulative, in my opinion.
And even though you're trying to feel more together, you're actually creating a division between the two of you, because there's a pressure on the other. And so that's been a big issue, and that's still stuff that I'm working through of
And also, we were brought up very differently. I was brought up almost like I could spend the whole day alone and nobody would know that I had. I often went out riding my push bike around looking at nature, you know, for whole days at a time when I was 6 years old. And nobody knew where I was. Nobody would have been able to find me if something happened to me. But I always come home, but nobody really knew what I'd done. And I've lived a lot of my childhood that way. So I was allowed to have my own life from a very, very young age. Now, while that might sound lonely to some, it was also quite good for me because it meant that I could choose to do what I wanted to do. And I loved doing what I wanted to do. And nobody ever pushed me into doing something I didn't want to do. And it was so good like that, you know. Mary's had almost the opposite to that. So she was brought up in a way that she had to be involved in everything the family was doing. She was forced into being involved in everything the family was doing. And quite often she wanted to avoid it by reading a book or something like that to get away from all of that feeling that she was totally controlled.
My reading skills were very well advanced because books was my only escape, you know. That was my place I went.
Yeah, because emotionally there was so many demands upon you to share in the family's structure and well-being, and
they're undealt with, you know, stuff that they have.
Yeah.
And so there's all this pressure, and so I became very sensitive to other people's emotions, you know.
And it was very hard in our relationship initially. I said, Mary, you've got to stop worrying about what I feel, you know, because it's only worry. It's not. Oftentimes, it's not even what I feel. That you're just worried that I might feel it.
Yeah.
You've got to feel your feelings first and work out what they are, and then tell me what they are, and let me respond to that based on what I feel from that. And this is something I was allowed to do, but Mary was never allowed to do. So that has created difficulties for you, hasn't it, in a lot of ways? Because
and also so much fear of having an experience of my own, like going ahead with my emotion before seeking reassurance that it's okay with everyone in my environment, that I feel sad now, or I feel happy now, or I feel excited now, or whatever. So that's been a huge problem for us, hasn't it? Just me working through that. And I see it very clearly now, but it doesn't mean I don't always act in it.